Today I thought we could break out the iPad and go back to practicing art in Procreate. So I started by opening a 3000 by 3000 pixel canvas, choosing a brush. I still don't know anything about brushes if we're being real honest here, and started trying to map out the shape and basic facial features. I am still super new to Procreate. I actually haven't touched it since I uploaded that last video. And to be honest, I kind of hate it. Okay, I don't hate it, I'm just not good at it. But it's weird, and there is definitely a learning curve from going from traditional art to digital art. So I tried using all of my basic sketching principles. I mapped out the space where the nose should be, the mouth, the eyes. And the one nice thing about working digitally is that you have the ability to flip the canvas so that you can make sure your facial features are proportioned properly and in the right place, which mine never are. The only other thing I really know about Procreate is the importance of layers. I did the initial undersketch. I went to the layers menu and turned down the opacity so that I could draw on top of my initial line art. This really didn't start off that bad. You know, it's okay. One of the things I have to keep in mind working digitally and in my sketchbook is sketchbooks aren't supposed to be finished pieces. They are supposed to be sketches. It's supposed to be somewhere you play around and experiment and try out new things. It doesn't have to be a meticulous work of art. And I kind of forget that no matter what I'm doing. Practice is practice. Practice isn't supposed to always result in a fine art piece that you want to hang on the wall. Practice is just practice. It's supposed to help you get stronger skills. It's supposed to hopefully be fun. But honestly, the more I practiced with this particular sketch, the more frustrated I got. It wasn't looking the way I wanted it to, even though I figured out how to select different pieces of the artwork and move them. It wasn't coming together, and I was getting really, really frustrated. But I kept trying. I kept going over the initial sketch. I kept flipping the canvas, seeing if I could tweak a couple of things. In a way, it feels like I have less control over what I'm doing, even though I arguably have the most control. In the end, I did what every professional artist does. I got frustrated and gave up. So the next day, I made a different plan. Instead of trying to draw a portrait from scratch, I would take one of my old doodles, pop it into Procreate, and redraw that digitally. It's way harder to start from scratch. So having something I could draw on top of, effectively trace, didn't really make it any easier, but it took away that frustration of what am I supposed to do? And trust me, this was no less frustrating than the first portrait I tried to draw. I have so many iterations of this poor guy's face. Eventually, I just went right back to the basics. I drew out my face shape. I mapped out the brow line, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. I made his hair a little less swoopy. This one took me a long time too. I maybe deleted that first file. Overall, this one only took me about 2 hours to do until I got to the line art stage that I like. But it was still difficult. I know that part of learning a new skill set is pushing past that initial awkward phase and the whole, oh, I don't know how to draw anymore and I suck as an artist and I can't do this, in order to get to the point where you can, in fact, do that. As artists, and especially artists on social media, there's so much pressure to make everything a glorious highlight reel where all you ever have are successes and all you ever have are perfect finished pieces. But the reality is, I have the feeling that I've forgotten how to draw more often than not. And every single time, and no matter how many times I am able to get past the warm-up and get into the actual practice of drawing, where I realize, oh, wait, yeah, I can still draw. It never makes that any less aggravating, terrifying, like the thought that you could suddenly lose all of your progress just because you haven't drawn in a couple of weeks. It's horrifying. I know I gave up on the initial sketch, but I'm very, very happy with where I ended up for my little vampire boy's line art. Thanks for hanging out with me while I suffer through immediately not being good at something that I'm attempting. Like this video if you want to, subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.